Welcome to another edition of SVSU Red Alert, your weekly update on Saginaw Valley State University athletics. I'm your host, J.J. Boehm. The SVSU football team fought hard but could not come up with a victory on the road at Ohio Dominican. The Cardinals now finish out their home schedule against their rival Grand Valley for the Battle of the Valleys 2014. We'll review all of that with their head coach, Jim Collins, and we'll also get an update on baseball with their new head coach, Chris Ebright. That's all ahead on this edition of SVSU Red Alert. Welcome back to SVSU Red Alert. I'm J.J. Boehm, joined by SVSU football coach Jim Collins. And coach, team goes down to Ohio Dominican, a team that fighting for their playoff lives. They knew they controlled their own destiny, and they played very well. Your team, I thought, had intervals of good play, but unfortunately too many mistakes and not taking advantage of some Ohio Dominican mistakes to come up with a victory. That's
a great point, J.J. And I think we made this point when we got on the bus and made that road trip down there. We had over 20 freshmen traveling with us, and I thought that for the way we played, we met our expectations in terms of effort and energy, and I thought we were physical. I thought we matched the home team's intensity, but we just didn't execute at the level you need to execute, and that's something that has been disappointing all year long from the standpoint that it hasn't allowed us to win football games. But what you see is growth and maturing with your football team. I thought offensively, we threw the ball and caught the ball as well as we've done all year against a good football team. There were other things that I thought we did really well on defense, but not enough consistent play and not good enough execution to get the job done in the end.
And one of the plays in that game that I thought was really telling, because again, young football team, if you have momentum, easy to keep momentum. You lose momentum, sometimes harder to get it back. Towards the end of the first half, Ohio Dominican makes a mistake. They have a bad punt snap. You get it at their 40-yard line. You're going down, but you can't put points on the board. And instead, they get within field goal range and set a new school record with a wind-aided 53-yard field goal. Now they've got all the momentum going into the locker room.
Exactly. And on the previous drive, right before that, we had gotten stalled in the red zone. We threw an interception. They came with an all-out blitz, a little bit of a miscommunication. So we had moved the football and had a lot of confidence in the offense at that point moving the football. We got the ball closer, got it back in the red zone, and our quarterback Tyler Palkid, I thought all day hung in there, was very tough, hung in the pocket, took his lumps, but it was a situation where he was about ready to throw the football and got hit from his blind side by their big defensive end. And at that point, with the ball only in one hand, ready to throw it, he coughed it up, and they got what they needed to get in position to kick that 54-yard field goal.
And really, Ohio Dominican never seriously threatened after that point, but you talk about encouraging signs. Probably the best game by Brian Fobbs this season in terms of an all-around performance by an SVSU wide receiver, I thought, as he had 10 catches for 101 yards and 2 highlight reel touchdowns.
And he had some highlight reel regular catches as well. I thought most of those catches were contested by their good DBs, and he came up with the football. And that's the type of progress we want to see with this football team. I thought, as I mentioned earlier, our passing game, I think, took a big step forward. Fobbs had 10 catches. Corcoran made a lot of plays. Dillon had a big play. I thought Tyler, for as much pressure as he got, and remember, that defense was one of the best, if not the best defense in the league in a lot of categories statistically. Going against as good a defense, I thought our accuracy was very good. I thought we made a lot of great reads. And there were times he had people in his face, and the protection wasn't always good, but he was able to make a play. So all of those things, really positive things, and you can see the improvement as this year's gone on in the passing game, and that's what you want to see as a coach.
And how do you take that so that it does turn into more consistent production? Because obviously that's one of the things that, as you said, you've been trying to find it all year. You got one chance left at it, one more span of 60 minutes to try and get that consistency on offense.
There's a lot of factors, JJ. Number one, we're not running the ball as consistently as we need to run it. We're relying too much on the pass. And people are loading the box against us, and that's why, at some point you got to throw the football. You can't just run and get 1 and 2 yard gains, and that's what we're getting a lot of. So I think it's the two big things we got to concentrate on this week. Number one, protection. We got to give him time to throw. When he had time to throw and set his feet, I thought he was really good. Number two, we got to find the go-to guys, and I think we're seeing it. We're seeing guys step up and make plays. And so time to throw, getting rid of the football, throwing to the guys that are able to make those big plays, and I think that's going to be the key. If we can't get the running game going, we've got to do a better job protecting and throwing the ball to our guys that are making plays.
Hopefully the Cardinals can do more of that, as their final game for 2014 will be against Grand Valley, and we'll preview that one a little bit later on. When we come back, I'll be joined by SVSU baseball coach Chris Ebright. That's next on SVSU Red Alert.
This week's Spring Hill Suites Female Athlete of the Week is Emily Short. Short, a senior on the SVSU women's cross-country team, led the Lady Cards to a 5th-place finish in the 2014 GLIAC Championships on Saturday, 11-8, at Seneca Hills Golf Course in Tiffin, Ohio. Short finished in 12th place, crossing the line with a time of 21:16.5 in the 6K event. Her performance landed her on the 2014 All-GLIAC second team. The Cardinals return to action November 22nd when they travel to Evansland, Indiana for the NCAA Division II Midwest Regional Championships, set to begin at 11:30 a.m. Emily Short, your Spring Hill Suites Female Athlete of the Week.
Welcome back to SVSU Red Alert. I'm JJ Boehm, joined by SVSU baseball coach Chris Ebright. Chris, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks.
And I know not a lot of games for your squad here during the fall, but you did have a few opportunities to see them play, see them compete. What did you learn about your team and the personnel that you have in those games?
You know, we have quite a few seniors, and you know they helped this transition great. They're great leaders on and off the field, and you know this fall we brought in 3 junior college teams, and also we inter-squatted a lot. So we got to see quite a bit out of the short time we had.
And what are you looking for in terms of this fall evaluation as you start getting ready for your main season, which will start in the spring?
What are we looking for? Throwing strikes and getting on base. I can tell you that. That was, that our end of our last season. I mean, that's what we did really well, and hopefully that carries over to this year. And you know, our guys right now, they're lifting, conditioning, and they're getting their minds right, and we're pretty excited about this year.
What has you excited about the upcoming season?
I can tell you the games we're going to play in Florida right off the bat. And we're going to see what we got right away. We've got some teams that we're playing that went to the D2 World Series, you know, and excited for the league play, obviously. I mean, it's always fun to get in there and compete with those guys.
You mentioned, obviously, you've got some returning seniors. Who are some of the key guys that you need to make sure are stepping up as leaders on this team?
Our shortstop, Chris Perkovich, and Dale Reach. He'll be our closer this year. And, Jeff Schock, one of our relievers. Those 3 guys, if they perform the way we know they can, then it should be okay.
What's your philosophy as a baseball coach? Because baseball is one of those games, it almost seems like at times it can get overanalyzed these days. But then you see a team like the Kansas City Royals at the major league level who aren't very impressive on paper, but they find a way to win baseball games.
Heck, I'll take a team like that. We're going to be a small ball team. We're going to run a lot. I mean, speed never goes in a slump. We're going to bunt, you know, especially with the bats we have, and everyone knows about the cold spring, so the ball doesn't go very far. So just work to get on base and move them along.
And how much of that is something that you can work on to improve, as opposed to how much of that is something that maybe you come with or you don't have in terms of being able to handle the bat for a bunt, being able to get the right jump off of first base?
Sure. Speed is something that, you know, you can't teach, but handling the bat, hitting the ball the other way, getting the runner in from third, less than 2 outs. I mean, those are the things that we really focus on, because those are the things that are going to decide the big games.
What do you do now for your team to get them ready for that big trip down in Florida? Because this is the time probably I think it's most difficult as a baseball coach, because their next game is so far away.
Yes, yeah, you're itching to get ready going. We're hitting every single day, and we're lifting, and we're even swimming this year too to get their shoulders in shape. So that's what we're doing every single day, and you know, we're preparing for that Florida trip.
Well, hopefully that Florida trip gets here and your guys are able to show up ready to play. Chris, welcome to SVSU, and good luck in next season, in addition to the season you just finished.
Thank you so much.
And when we come back, I'll be rejoined by SVSU football coach Jim Collins. That's next on SVSU Red Alert.
This week's Spring Hill Suite Male Athlete of the Week is Joey Southgate. Southgate, a junior on the SVSU men's cross-country team, led the Cardinals to an 8th-place finish at the 2014 GLIAC Championship on Saturday, 11-8, at Seneca Hills Golf Course in Tiffin, Ohio. Southgate crossed the finish line in 9th place with a time of 24:14.7 in the 8K event. It was the 3rd straight top 10 finish for the junior this year. His performance landed him on the 2014 All-GLIAC first team. The Cardinals return to action November 22nd when they travel to Evansville, Indiana for the NCAA Division II Midwest Regional Championships, set to begin at 11:30 a.m. Joey Southgate, your Spring Hill Suites Male Athlete of the Week.
Welcome back to SVSU Red Alert. JJ Boehm rejoined by SVSU head football coach Jim Collins. And Coach, we talked about it before the Axe Bowl against Northwood too, these rivalry games. You don't have to worry about motivation.
Not at all, JJ. And I think if you look at the history of this rivalry, what you're going to find is teams that came out ready to play and fought hard and played with a lot of energy. Whoever's been the home team has always had a big crowd there to support them. So, we're expecting the same this week. And at the end of the day, it comes back to, I think, the things we talked about: execution, protecting the football, making sure we take advantage of mistakes that the other team makes. And our guys have to execute at a level, I think, that's higher than any level they've executed at all year in order to put ourselves in a position. But that's what you would expect in a Week 11 game, in a big game at home against your rival.
And Grand Valley, a team that they've had their own struggles this season. They're coming into this one 5-5, but they're coming off a very good performance in a big win at home this past Saturday over Tiffin.
Well, the interesting thing about their team this year has been really, I think, the health and the injuries that they've had to go through and how healthy their quarterback is. Heath Parling is back in their lineup. He's a 4-year starter. He's a very talented quarterback, and he had a good game last week, as did Chris Robinson. So, I think their offense gets going when those guys are healthy. And then the other thing is, I think defensively, they've got some young guys like we do playing in their secondary and at that second level at linebacker. So when you have young guys are going to make mistakes at times, and you don't have the consistency. But they've got good players, JJ, and I think they're a good football team.
What do you do with your team now to really get them ready for this game in terms of, it's not going to be a trouble, as I said, in terms of motivation, but you want to make sure that it's channeled and you want to make sure that it's focused, and you want to make sure that, particularly for the seniors, they get to go out playing the best football they can possibly play? It
all comes down to preparation. And that's, we say that every week, but it is the truth, because I think the emotion of a game like this, gets guys going. They're not going to have to get up. No one's going to have to tell them you've got to play hard. They're going to play hard. They're going to be enthusiastic. They're going to play with a lot of energy. But the key thing is the preparation on Monday through Friday, the watching film, the way we practice, the intensity, the execution that we can prepare with in those practice sessions throughout the week is what's going to give us the confidence in what we're doing on Saturday. And I think that's the key, going into that game, understanding what it's going to take. Protecting the football, executing in the kicking game, making big plays, preventing big plays. Just the basic things like taking the right steps, making sure we fit up in the right gaps when we tackle people. So all those little things are going to add up to the confidence level that it's going to take to execute in order to win a game like this.
Obviously, Grand Valley, a team that last year you closed the regular season with them, then you had to turn around and play them again the first week of the playoffs last season. Does that extra time playing against them have any factor and any bearing in the preparation for a game like this?
Really, I think, number one, we were disappointed with the way the season ended last year. Let's make no mistake about it. But there were 2 games to look at. And, I think we've got a lot of film on Grand Valley, and we know what we're going to get. Yeah, I think they're probably going to come up with a wrinkle. We're going to come up with a wrinkle here and there. But I think knowing what we're going to get, having every game on them for this year, the last 2 from last year, there's a lot of tendencies to look at. There's a lot of things, I think, to prepare for. But then again, at the same time, I don't think they're going to slip anything by us that we haven't seen before.
Well, hopefully the Cardinals maybe can slip 1 or 2 things by them. As you said, big week on campus. We know it's a big game on Saturday. Coach Collins, good luck against the Lakers.
Thanks, JJ.
And we thank you for joining us, and we hope you have enjoyed this edition of SVSU Red Alert.